According to HGAR, the second quarter of 2021 continues the trends that were seen in the first quarter, very strong buyer demand and low inventory in most market segments. And of course, when we talk in general about the real estate market, there are specific segments that make up the total. There's been low interest rates, and because of that, we've seen multiple offers on properties, oftentimes well above asking price from the original asking price of property. So there's something happening out there. It's very dynamic and it's very impressive.
Buying habits are different post-COVID than they were pre-COVID. Certainly when we were looking at pre-COVID numbers, you were looking at a lot of folks who were looking at properties where they were smaller properties, close to mass transit centers, and that's not been the case in the post-COVID market. One of the markets that is a very important segment to the Westchester housing market is the northeastern section of the county. So we're talking Pound Ridge, we're talking Lewisboro, North Salem, and Bedford. And that market, quite frankly, has been stagnant since the 2008 recession. Certainly there was signs of recovery, but it never bounced back the way the housing market did in other parts of the county. That all changed post-COVID. All of a sudden, individuals were actually much more interested in larger properties and much larger pieces of property. And those increases are pretty dramatic as well. Again, if you're comparing the numbers, 2021 numbers through the first 6 months to 2020, there is a 41% increase. But even if you go back to 2019, there's actually a 56% increase. So the types of properties buyers are interested in have also dramatically changed. And I think that that speaks to a really wide recovery of all of the segments of the real estate market. And even co-ops have now really caught up in terms of, they were slow to start, but co-ops have really caught up and really are doing very well in terms of what they did in 2020.
I have been asked by several people if this is the bubble that we saw in 2006 and 7, and I don't feel that it is at all. There has been some acceleration in pricing, but we are not. But the housing crisis of 2008 and 9 was not a result. Had different factors. It was sketchy mortgage products and Wall Street shenanigans. And that is not what we're seeing today. There's a lot more responsibility in the lending world and in the finance world. So I think that this is sustainable, and that, frankly, Westchester is not going anywhere and will always be, at least for me and our buyers and sellers, the place to call home.
Not only is there a boom in Westchester, there's an influx into Westchester, and what I see is definitely a trend towards more multi-generational living. One of the big things that happened out of COVID was definitely the influx out of Manhattan into Westchester County. So basically, if you grew up here and you moved away, well, you came back with mom and dad. And now what's happening is, even though we have had some of our older generation choose to leave, I'm actually seeing a trend of them staying. So what I anticipate is that we might see more families looking for variances to change, maybe looking for some innovation in terms of zoning, because more families, meaning mom and dad, their children, and maybe even grandchildren, are going to look to actually live together. That's one of the big challenges I have right now, is the fact that I have tons of those buyers and sellers looking to stay together, looking to sell the family home to buy something bigger, or apply for variances and changes to put more space. That's not ending.